Welcome. My name is Craig Gundry, and I'll be your instructor for the S2 Institute Anti-Terrorism Officer course. Now, before we begin, I just want to kind of give you a quick little history about how this course evolved into what it is in this program. This course was originally born in the aftermath of September 11th, when throughout the nation, thousands of security professionals found themselves thrust into responsibilities that required that they protect facilities against terrorist attack. Until that time period, very few organizations outside certain communities, such as the U.S. Department of Defense and the U.S. State Department, had specialized training for this kind of purpose. And initially, when we developed this program in 2003, it was an assimilation from other programs that we had presented previously in the 1990s, focusing on things like explosive device countermeasures, chemical and biological terrorism, and other similar types of specialized matters. And initially, focused on basic skills that security professionals should know to protect facilities effectively against terrorist attack. This eventually expanded in the early 2000s into a much more comprehensive and broad course, focusing overall on best practices in anti-terrorism as could be applied to a very diverse range of facilities. And over the following years, the past 2 decades as it were, approximately 3,000 professionals worldwide have graduated from this course, representing a wide range of different types of corporations, government ministries, international government organizations, and more. And during that time period, this program has been officially adopted as training for different organizations globally, various different government ministries for training personnel assigned to anti-terrorism related roles, as well as also various different NGOs and international organizations as well. Eventually kind of earning this program a status is kind of being a standard for anti-terrorism training globally. And then in 2017, this became officially adopted as the basis for a professional certification, the Certified Anti-Terrorism Officer certification, in partnership with the International Association of Counterterrorism and Security Professionals. Now, as a program focusing on best practices in anti-terrorism, the focus of our lesson modules is really kind of aimed at developing certain types of skills and competencies. In essence, things that all security professionals assigned to anti-terrorism related activities should be knowledgeable in. First is recognizing risks associated with contemporary terrorism. A good portion of this program is going to be dedicated to exploring threat modus operandi, terrorist TTPs, technology, and other items like this, to provide a foundation for the establishment of different types of countermeasures. The next is designing a risk management strategy appropriate to reducing terrorism-related risk. In essence, how to design protective measures from a strategic perspective in such a manner that we reduce both the probability and the criticality of risk events. Then implementing operations security principles to impair terrorists' ability to gather target intelligence, which for many of our organizations is going to be our outermost ring of defense at the organizational level, including the implementation of effective information security principles, as well as also putting in place measures to recognize potential terrorist intelligence collection activities, and then also establishing policies and procedures and systems for documenting suspicious activity and working in collaboration with authorities to try to prevent attacks before they occur. Designing effective physical security measures to interrupt terrorist adversaries in accessing critical assets and providing an opportunity for effective response. And that's actually going to be a very major component of this program. Essentially, design of physical protection systems and entry control measures to reduce the likelihood of success in various different types of IED delivery scenarios, armed assaults, and other types of attacks that would require that adversaries intruded into our facility and accessed target populations. The next is designing entry control measures for reducing the likelihood of terrorist adversaries in accessing facility assets via entry control points, including designing effective access control measures, effective implementation of access control technology, and then designing procedural measures for screening facility entrance and vehicles. Then designing measures for reducing the consequences of terrorist attack events, including things like specifying blast mitigation measures, specifying measures for the protection against projected charged weapon attacks, and then specifying measures for protection against chemical, biological, or potentially radiological events. And then, if we happen to be working in critical infrastructure type situations, protection against IEMI attacks, basically intentional electromagnetic interference attacks. And then, designing emergency response plans to direct facility response during terrorist attacks, including everything from terrorist armed assaults, possible IED deliveries, suspicious mail-related incidents, post-blast type situations, and then also a spectrum of different types of chemical, biological, or radiological attack events. And these learning objectives, as it were, are the focus of the lesson modules we'll be presenting throughout this course. Now, to present this information as an online program, this is broken down into 17 independent video modules. The first video module you're watching right now. The next series of video modules afterwards focus on terrorist adversaries, different factors contributing to their intent and capability, target selection criteria, and other similar matters, as well as also 3 modules specifically focusing on technical aspects of IED or explosive device attacks, tactics associated with IED deliveries, and chemical and biological terrorism, to essentially establish a foundation for many of the security measures or protective approaches that we'll discuss in additional lesson modules. Then we will have one lesson module focusing on risk management strategy as it relates to anti-terrorism, and then operation security and protective counterintelligence. And then we have a series of lesson modules focusing on physical security and entry control design, as well as also various procedures and implementation of technology for entry control purposes. Then a module encompassing weapon effects mitigation, focusing on blast mitigation, protection against chemical, biological attacks, and other similar types of specific weapon systems. And then a series of lesson modules focusing on response preparations, beginning with facility infrastructure and organizational structure, and then model procedures for addressing different types of terrorism-related events. Now, a few preceding points about the measures presented in this course. As noted just a minute ago, this course is designed to present best practices that have been effective or proven effective in previous implementation, not official policy for any one particular organization. And many of the things that you'll hear me speak about in this program are derived or adapted from different organizations. For instance, a lot of the technical information that I'll be presenting in this program was really pioneered by research, maybe by organizations like the Technical Support Working Group in the United States, the U.S. Department of Defense for protecting military facilities. Some discussion may be coming from the diplomatic security community, like the U.S. Department of State, as well as other different international sources as well, like the London Metropolitan Police and experience and different kinds of tactical strategies developed by the Israeli police and different military organizations throughout the world. Essentially, a wide range of different sources contributed to the information presented in this course, basically focusing on what has worked most effectively in different diverse situations, and also, importantly, what has not. And that's an important thing I'll be spotlighting quite often in different sections throughout this program, different misunderstandings and ineffective practices that are quite common out there. Now, another important point. Legal limitations and authorities regarding many issues addressed in this course will vary from nation to nation and from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So a good example of this is when we start talking about operation security and protective counterintelligence. It is understood that some of the measures I may be describing regarding things like suspicious activity documentation and otherwise may not comply with privacy laws, for instance, in the EU. Likewise, when we talk about armed response forces in certain types of situations, it is understood that in many countries, you may not even have an option, where we don't have private armed security or the ability to maybe contract police or others to provide this kind of service. Again, what we're going to be presenting in this program is best practices. How you implement or what you can implement in your particular country may vary. It may be a limiting factor. Regardless, it is your responsibility to investigate the legality of any measures presented in this course before actual implementation. This program is essentially designed to present risk management strategies applicable to a diverse range of facilities. When we developed this course, it was not specifically for the protection of critical infrastructure or military facilities or civilian environments or community organizations. It is essentially a broad spectrum of different kinds of facilities that may be relevant to different topics that we'll be discussing throughout this course. It is understood that facilities are going to vary greatly in their risk profile, cultural situation, geography, budget, and numerous other various different kinds of factors. If we begin discussing a specific type of measure in this program or a particular type of protective approach that doesn't seem applicable to your facility, well, that's to be understood. To kind of state this a different way, think of this course as being a gigantic toolkit with lots of different kinds of tools. We got power tools, we got hand tools, we got all kinds of different stuff in this toolbox. Not all building projects require all those tools. So you may only get practical use out of certain measures, maybe not others. And we'll also kind of explore this particular situation in certain modules, looking at how we can maybe adapt our risk management strategies, considering different challenges or different kinds of limiting factors as well. And as a professional development course, this program is standardized today. In the old days, when I was teaching live courses in different parts of the world, I would often tailor the program specifically for the audience in that particular region. When this became a certification course, or became the basis for a certification course, we kind of changed that approach. And now when I teach this program in Cairo, it is the exact same program that I teach when I am in New York, or when I'm in Brussels, or when I'm in Singapore, or any other location throughout the world. Quite often in those live programs, I do emphasize different kinds of matters that are specific to local bad guys and different kinds of attack events that may have happened in that particular region. But the actual content of the course is standardized across the board, everywhere, whether we present live or whether we present online like this. Now, it is understood that some people taking this course are just simply interested in the educational content and receiving a training, or rather certificate of training for testifying to the completion of this program. For those who wish to take this a step further, there is a certification opportunity after completing this program. And this was basically developed in cooperation with the International Association of Counterterrorism and Security Professionals. And just to kind of explain where this came from. As this program started to become an international standard, we started having graduates that were adopting the letters ATO after their name to denote their completion of the course, or that they were graduates of the S2 Anti-Terrorism Officer program. And as flattering as that was at the time, there really wasn't much credibility underneath that, other than the fact that they just attended the course. So at the time, we reached out to the IACSP, who's been a partner of the S2 Institutes for quite some time, and discussed with them creating an actual credible certification process for people that do complete this program who wish to be recognized for their knowledge in this particular specialized subject area. And this was eventually launched in 2017 after several years of development. And what it is fundamentally is a certification awarded by the International Association of Counterterrorism and Security Professionals to eligible candidates who successfully passed the cATO certification examination. And this has some eligibility requirements. For instance, you must be an active member of IACSP in order to be eligible. And then you must have certain experience or educational requirements. And that includes 4 years or more of experience in security management, risk management, emergency management, law enforcement, emergency services, the military, an intelligence background, or perhaps an engineering with focus on life safety and security engineering, or a bachelor's degree or higher with a major in criminal justice, emergency management, intelligence science, or homeland security. And then, meeting the basic eligibility criteria, you're capable of examining. And just to kind of explain how this whole process works, first thing you need to do is register as a user at www.cATO.org. catocertification.org. And then there's an application fee that needs to be paid. Then you can submit an application testifying to these eligibility requirements. And then there's an approval process involved. So after you've been approved for the examination, in other words, your eligibility requirements have been verified as satisfactory, then there's an examination fee that needs to be paid. And then upon approval of that, you would then have the ability in order to take the examination. And then once you complete the examination successfully, you'll be awarded your certificate, which will be shipped to you in wherever your location is. Now, to kind of explain a little bit about this examination, the cATO examination is conducted online. It is a 50-question multiple choice examination involving randomized questions. And as far as the content of the questions, every question in the cATO examination is addressed by information presented in this course. So in essence, if you take the S2 Institute Anti-Terrorism Officer course and you pay attention and you study effectively, you will have all the knowledge necessary in order to take that cATO examination. It is a proctored examination, meaning that when you apply for the cATO, you will have to submit the name of 2 proctors as alternates. These individuals, once they're approved, will receive a code. And that code is used in order to unlock the examination. And then also at the end of your exam, in order to submit the examination. And that's just to make sure that it is verified by somebody else, that you are taking the examination according to the rules, basically, that you're not doing it as an open book type thing, researching answers to questions and things like this. There is no time limit on the examination, and it requires a passing score of 80% or greater in order to be awarded certification. And if you fail the examination the first time, which quite a few people do, then you get one opportunity to re-exam before you would have to initiate the application process over again. Now, as one final point, when we were filming all of the videos for this course, I tried to be very attentive to make sure that all the points that I was expressing were done so accurately and in a manner that was easy to understand, and that I emphasized points appropriately. However, it is quite possible that there may be something that I might say at a certain point that maybe I could have articulated better or emphasized better. And when those types of situations come up, you may see this guy. He's basically only going to jump in there whenever there was a particular situation where maybe Craig didn't introduce a particular point or develop a particular thing in a more effective manner. So just keep your eye open for him, because whenever he shows up, that usually means that there was something that wasn't said that is probably worth paying attention to. Okay, now if I can just add a couple points. Normally, when this course is taught as a classroom program, it's 5 days of training, 8 hours a day, including things like breaks, lunches, and so on. As a video-based program, this is 27 hours of video instruction, sort of to put that in perspective, sort of like binge watching the last 2 seasons of NCIS. Now, completing a course at this kind of scope requires a certain degree of discipline. It is strongly recommended that you establish a schedule for completing the program. Maybe dedicate your lunch hour and maybe a couple hours every evening to completing different lesson modules. Or maybe dedicate some time on the weekends, maybe say every Saturday morning and every Sunday morning to completing 2 or 3 hours. And as a final point, for those that are interested in obtaining cATO certification, the examination at the end of this course is an excellent pretest for the cATO exam. You'll find many of the questions are similar. In fact, some of them may even be identical, and also requires an 80% or better passing score. So if you complete this course and successfully complete the examination for the S2 program, you're probably quite ready for the cATO examination as a next step. And now, back to that guy. I want to thank you for joining us in this program, and I hope you get some valuable information to advance the safety of your charges, the people that you protect, as well as also your career as a security professional.